Hi guys, Norm with you again, and today we're having a little look at this TG-392 little cycle radio and Bluetooth speaker. It's nice to just have a little radio on the handlebars, and I remember back in the, was it late 70s or early 80s, having a little AM radio that bolted onto the handlebars. That was like a yellow wedge with a black front. I don't know if anybody can remember those. I have seen a couple that look similar in America on eBay, but to my mind, they're not the same. These were like a yellow wedge with a black front, and it really, probably to be honest, it really wasn't a very good radio. But at the time, I was young and I could listen to, music while I was traveling around on my bike. My voice is a bit funny today, but anyway, we'll try and carry on. So so I wanted just a radio to clip onto the bike, and I seen this, and this is primarily a Bluetooth speaker, and it does a passive radiator in the bottom to make it sound more sort of bassy. And this, you say, has FM radio. It looks fairly okay. I don't like this kind of bronzy, yellowy, orangey colour on this logo, and so I did sort of pull that off. But what I'm thinking was I might try and spray this black, and then it may look okay with black and silver. So we'll do that, put that to one side. And so I tried this out, and the thing is, it must have some kind of built-in aerial because it does receive the radio. But in the book, it says if the reception is weak, plug in the audio cable, and that would act as an aerial. Well, okay, so you got this bloody, you're not going to be riding down the road with that bloody audio cable hanging out like an aerial. So the plan today is maybe we can put a little wire coil on the inside, maybe. I was thinking if the grill was metal, we could have attached the antenna wire to the grill and that would have become the antenna. But this is plastic, I think, or maybe it's fabric stretched over something, I'm not sure. So the first thing is to take the clip off the back, and that won't get us into it. I think to get into it, we need to kind of spudger around the sides, and this front piece will probably come off, and then there's probably going to be screws.
And just yes, we wouldn't instantly alongside vegetables, loads. But what will come from that is something truly.
Okay, so I've got the headset back on now, and you can hear me. Yeah, you could probably hear there as we was turning around. It was picking up a lot of what they call birdies, which is like frequencies with just noise that is generated by the unit itself, and they're sort of technically called birdies. like self-generated frequencies, noise, and maybe that's why they didn't put an internal aerial. But there's only one way to find out. So, give me a minute, I'll find the spudger and be right back. This thing will hopefully be able to sort of squidge in there and make it pop. No, well, something's happening. It really doesn't want to come apart, does it? Right, let's pull it from the bottom. Whoa! Holy moly! Right, here we are then. Whew. Now, pull out these screws and take this thing apart. That's refreshing. They've actually used standard screws rather than some weird sort of protected hex or something. So there's, tiny little circuit board at the top, so it's doing everything. The buttons, control panel, and the little AA sized lithium cell, which is supposedly 500 milliamp hours. Okay. Is that glued in? Why do they do that? Yeah, so they glued the plug into the socket, so then you pull it and the whole thing just comes off. So that doesn't help, does it? So this is the amplifier, it's the USB reader, it's the charger, and everything on one tiny little board. Model TG-392. The little speaker there is looking okay. That's good. So let's now bring in the tester. Turn it on. And let's see what we got. There and there we're getting. No reading, so it must be the opposite way around. Okay, so white is negative in this case. Let me zoom in on that. We're looking at 4.08 volts in the battery, and this was fully charged just before I took this apart. And go. Okay, that should get up to 4.2 and then it'll start discharging. And we can see what it does. Obviously, we're not going to wait here to see it completely, so we'll just let this carry on and then I'll come back when it's done. Okay, so the battery test has ended, and for a 500 milliamp hour cell, that one's coming up as 492. So that's actually pretty good for what it is. Okay, so that's everything now hooked up. Here is the main board, and here is the little chip that obviously does everything, and another little chip there, probably for something. It could be battery charging chip. There is, or appears to be, a little microphone in here with these very thin wires on it. That's not entirely important to me, but we'll leave it there. So what I really need to do is start off with it in the center, hold it with a bit of heat gun glue wind it around, put a bit of heat gun glue, wind it around, and I want to make a spiral from the inside of that to like the outside, and then I can cut through here and feed the wire up to the main board. I think that's going to be the way to do it. Now I'm going to do this off camera and then I'm going to come back because this is going to be awkward and it's going to take a long time and I'm going to look like an ass. So let's rather not look like an ass and join me when it's done. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of how I planned it. We got a length of wire which is coiled up inside there. I'd say there's probably about 12 to maybe 18 inches of wire there coiled up perhaps, and that should be plenty. So now comes the hard part of wiring this board in. It didn't seem right that I connected that sort of antenna coil to the ground wire. It did make some difference, but I have now done some experimenting with the signal generator, and you can see just down here there is a contact which also goes to the 3.5mm socket, and if I attach the signal generator to that, that's where the aerial needs to connect to. But anyway, that confirms that that's where I need to move the aerial wire to. So I'll do that and then we'll see if it receives any better.
Everything all right?
Okay, well that seems to be
I better take this outside.
receiving a lot better now.
Sorry, I was in the pub.
There you go guys, that's improved that a bit. I mean it's still not perfect, there's still some like internally generated noise coming out of this thing, but then I suppose it is what it is, really. It's yeah, a cheap radio. Well, at least the radio does work a bit better now. Yeah, it's all good. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers for now.